Arman Tsarukyan is for real. He just knocked out Beneil Dariush in the first round, and he did it in very impressive fashion. The way he was able to find and set up that combination which led up to that right hand was insane, where he enters in behind his jab, which he had done throughout the entire fight pretty much, and Beneil always keeps his hands very high and tight, close together, which helps him defend the jabs of Arman, or just any punch coming in a straight line at him, because he can parry it and block it easier, but it also opens up room on the sides for hooks. Because of how tight his hands are guarding his face, the side of his head is exposed, and Arman knew this, and behind his jab stepped to the outside of Beneil's lead leg. I said in my prediction video that controlling the outside foot position was crucial for both guys in this fight. Arman then throws the right hook, which doesn't land with too much power, grabs onto the tie clinch, and then throws a knee, which in real time I thought landed. However, on the replay, I don't think it ever actually connected with Beneil. And then while that knee is still in the air, Arman throws a right hand which lands perfectly on the jaw of Beneil, putting him out cold. And he threw that right hand so fast. In real time, it's hard to even see it. The speed of that punch was insane, and the power he showed was crazy. He didn't even have his footing under him. His leg was still in the air when he threw this punch, and it still knocked Beneil out. He almost threw it like a Superman punch. That's not how you would typically set up a Superman punch, but he brought his leg back as he threw the right hand. A big reason why he was able to knock Beneil out with that right hand was because of the accuracy of it. He placed it so perfectly on the chin. While Beneil's head is still moving, Arman threw the punch. The way he was able to pinpoint exactly where he needed to throw it was crazy. And he landed it in the perfect spot right on the chin of Beneil, knocking him out cold. He knocked him out so fast, did it in around a minute, so there's not much else to talk about. Arman basically shut down everything Beneil was trying. Beneil likes to work off his jab and set up everything off his jab, but he couldn't get his jab going in this fight because him and Arman are in opposite stances. Arman always had his lead hand out, almost probing and sort of hand fighting with Beneil. And because they are in opposite stances, their lead hands were always clashing, so whenever Beneil would try and throw his jab, Arman's left hand would be right there to block it. And because Beneil couldn't get his jab going, he had a hard time setting up anything else or getting anything else off. He seemed to get a little frustrated, where he threw out a naked left hand with pretty much no setup that Arman was easily able to avoid, which is very uncharacteristic of Beneil. He's typically very good at hiding that left hand. Arman was definitely biting at a lot of the feints Beneil was throwing out. He definitely seemed a little hesitant on the feet at first. He was most likely worried about the power coming back at him, because we all know Beneil hits very hard. And Arman for sure respected that power, like right here where Beneil feints a kick and Arman jumps halfway across the octagon. And that head kick was definitely scary. Beneil has very good, very sneaky head kicks. In opposite stances, those head kicks are always open. Beneil actually threw one at the beginning of the fight, and Arman defended it decently. But I think Arman may have felt the power of that kick, and that's why he was biting at some of the feints. But in the end, it was a great performance from Arman, the guy who was so avoided by everyone. This guy was scheduled to fight Renato Moicano, who's like ranked 14th. And then he fought Joaquim Silva, a guy who isn't even ranked. They had to pull some random guy, well, not random guy, but they had to pull some guy outside of the rankings just to get Arman a fight. Nobody wanted to fight this guy, and credit to Beneil for taking this fight. He could have been like a lot of guys in the top 5 who just refused to fight any up-and-coming contender. But this guy agreed to fight Islam Makhachev when nobody else wanted to fight him. Then after that fight fell through, he agreed to fight Mateusz Gamrot, who was like 4 or 5 spots lower in the rankings, and a guy who nobody else wanted to fight. And then he agreed to fight Arman, someone who everyone was avoiding. So massive respect to Beneil for taking this fight, and you gotta feel for him. The guy was so close to a title shot so many times and never got one, and now he probably never will. Back in 2015, he put together a good win streak where he beat Diego Ferreira, Jim Miller, and Michael Johnson, who was ranked like number 6 at the time. Was so close to a title shot and then got submitted by Michael Chiesa, and then tried to rebound against Edson Barboza, who was I think top 7 at the time, and got knocked out. He then went on an 8-fight win streak, beat Thiago Moises, Drew Dober, Diego Ferreira, dominated Tony Ferguson, and then was scheduled to fight Islam Makhachev for the #1 contender spot. The winner of that fight would get a title shot, and he got injured. And a lot of people think to this day he would have beat Makhachev. He then beat Gamrot, and then in another #1 contender fight with Charles Oliveira, he got knocked out in the first round. He came so close so many times and never got that title shot. But massive credit to Arman. Beating a guy like Beneil Dariush and the way he did is insane, and he should definitely be ranked in the top 5 now. Let's look at the lightweight rankings actually. He should definitely be ranked above Fiziev. Fiziev's lost both of his last 2 fights. Gamrot is interesting because Gamrot lost to Beneil but beat Arman, whereas Arman beat Beneil and lost to Gamrot. It's a weird triangle there. I would actually rank Arman above Gamrot because that fight was so long ago, and I think Arman should have won that fight. And Arman's resume as a whole looks better than Gamrot's. He should definitely be above Michael Chandler. How is Michael Chandler still in the top 5? This guy has 2 wins in 3 years. He beat Dan Hooker, who's barely ranked now, and beat Tony Ferguson, who isn't even ranked and on like a 6-fight losing streak. He just beat Beneil, so he should definitely be above him. I would have Arman number 4. I could also hear out an argument for number 3. I think him and Dustin Poirier are pretty interchangeable. The way I think the ranking should go, I think it should be Charles number 1, Justin number 2, Dustin number 3, Arman number 4, and Dariush number 5. As for who I would like to see Arman fight next, I think just anyone above him. I think he'll most likely be ranked number 4. He's only 1 win away from a title shot, and I think Dustin makes the most sense out of all of these guys because Justin and Charles are probably going to wait out for title shots, and that would be a great fight. Both of them want to fight at UFC 300. You could possibly put that fight on the main card, possibly as the card opener. It would be a competitive fight, and I might actually favor Arman to beat Dustin, and then he would go and face Islam for the title, have a rematch there. But anyways, that is the end of this video. If you are new here and you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe. Like the video if you did enjoy. Leave anything you want in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.